Hello guys and gals, welcome back. This is take number 50 gazillion. I wanted to record the whole process of me making this plugin, and it crashed like a few hours in. And I'm afraid I've not got the motivation to start that whole process again. It wouldn't be true anyway. So I finished the plugin off. I'm going to show you how I got there, and then I'm going to give it to you. Let's go. Okay, so I had a dream, and it was, now Ableton has all these wonderful MIDI manipulation plugins, like random selectors and such. Would it be possible to eventually get it so we can draw in a single note and it generates an actual useful melody for us? The answer is yes. Not bad, right? Well, I do say so myself. I am biased, of course. So let me tell you what I did, because it was quite the journey. The initial thought was generate all of the notes of the scale from the one note using something like chord, which is... you could draw your minor scaling, which is +2, +3, +5, +7, +8, +10, and then have an arpeggiator randomly select from these notes. It's going to compensate for the key because I put a C note in, but this track I'm playing against is in A sharp. So the idea was generate the notes of the scale, randomly select. That's the beginnings of. But that's just an arpeggio. This is a good lesson in the difference between an arpeggio and a melody, in fact. I could be more precious with the notes we're using. Get rid of the uncommon ones like note 2 and note 6. And then you could automate things like that kind of thing. So my next thought was to take the LFOs they've added. You could take an LFO and have it randomly select, say, every quarter note. The rate of the arpeggiator. Okay, put it on random mode. So we get a new value every quarter note. And you could limit its range. And that's kind of getting there. But I came across several problems. So the first is, in terms of rhythm, Ableton selections have triplet timings in them, 1/6 and 1/12, 24s, etc. And melodies don't swap between triplets and duplets very often at all, unless you're being super kind of awkward on purpose. It's not going to get you very many useful melody rhythms. So that was a problem. And our random note selector here still isn't mimicking how a melody is written, because if you saw my melody tutorial, you will remember certain notes are a lot more common and useful than others. We had strong notes and passing notes. So I would like note 2 in there and note 6. I do want these in, but they need to occur less often. So I had a think. I was playing around for a few hours and I came up with this idea. So what I ended up doing was using Ableton's scale, which is a way of forcing incoming notes onto other notes. So I've basically got a scale here which forces every note that comes in on the left, going out would be going downwards, all onto the first note. This is the 8th note, this is the octave, this is the 5th, this is the 3rd, this is the 4th, this is the 7th, 2nd, 6th. So we got all 7 notes of our scale there. I put the major ones in so we can swap between minor and major, but come back to that in a minute. So we've got the 7 notes of our scale being forced by Ableton's scaler. And Ableton has these things called chains. So you can assign a range of values to have this chain selected by moving this thing at the top here. So what I've done is have the LFO randomly select among these values, and it will select a forced note. So what that's let me do is have bigger values for the more common notes and smaller values for the less common notes. That makes sense? So 1 is a lot more common than 6 or 2, but they are in there. If I just assign a standard arpeggio to these, you'll hear them. It should make a lot more sense melodically. That sounds a lot more melodic than an arpeggio. The only thing that's arpeggiated about it is the fact that the rhythm is not changing. And this was a real struggle. This took me a long time. Initially, I was trying to chain arpeggios with fixed, useful timings, like 16ths, 8ths, quarters, and have it was the same thing. I had a chain selecting randomly between them, with the things like the 8th being more common than the quarter. But it turns out Ableton, I'm sure this didn't used to be the case, but the behavior has changed. Ableton does not like arpeggiators being placed in sequence one after the other. It really messes it up for some reason. So I had to come up with another solution, and I ended up with a better one. And this, I'm really proud of this one. This is a trip. So what I've done is, if I turn off our note selector, I'm using the steps function on the arpeggio. So it's moving up in semitones. I've chosen 3, so we get a total of 4 notes, the original and then 3 upwards. So it's generating these 4 notes. And then what that allows me to do is, again, using scalar, I can actually turn notes on and off at certain points of that grid of 4 notes. So the first option here only has when the first note hits. So the first one only plays when it's on the bottom note, none of these 3. You see, if I take these off, we get... So this gives me quarter notes. Now I can do the same with the next one for 8th notes. You see where I'm going? So for this one, we have all 4. And then for the last one, I have syncopated 8ths. So these are... Because that's a useful rhythm to have in general as well. I couldn't do that with an arpeggiator. There was no way of changing the 8ths to offbeat 8ths. So this has worked out better than before. And then I've got LFOs for 2 different timings, selecting useful rhythms. Again, I've weighted the rhythms to more useful ones here and less towards the end. So we're getting randomly selected notes and random select rhythms, but useful ones more often. Cool, right? There's only one major problem. I wanted to give this away as an Ableton plugin, but Ableton doesn't let you merge audio functions, which these LFOs are classed as audio, with MIDI. So I've had to make 2 racks, and if you hover over Melody Maker here, the instructions are here. If I delete this, in fact, I'll show you. So you will get the 2 plugins like this. You get Melody Maker, and you'll get Melody Maker LFOs. And all you have to do is press map on rhythm to rhythm and map on note to note. And you're off. All you have to do is draw a C in your preferred octave. And you can select the key with plus or minus 12 here. And you can select minor or major with this knob here. Now, I will also be giving away the whole session. We've got some useful stems here. You can have... Now, a useful thing you can do with the session is I've put a capture track down here. It's pre-routed. So if you just hit record, like that, you'll actually capture the MIDI that it's spitting out. And then we can mute the source. This is just Ableton built-in wavetable synth, by the way. Built-in delay, built-in reverb, etc., etc. What you can do is pick and choose your favorite bits. Maybe turn that into a loop. Something like that. Who knows? Your next hit could be just around the corner. That's not bad, right? So, Melody Maker. I hope that's going to be useful for some of you. I just thought that'd be a really interesting experiment. I think it's turned out rather well. Anyway, if you liked it, hit like, hit sub, and until next time, go make some melodies. You're welcome. Bye-bye.